Why do we ache for the first story? Why do we crave the moment when nothing became everything? There is a hunger the mind cannot feed, a thirst no fact can quench, a longing deeper than history. It is the hunger for beginnings, not just what came first, but why. Not only the order, but the meaning behind it. This hunger gave birth to mythology, the ground from which gods, monsters, and worlds arise. Before science charted the stars, we spoke of cosmic eggs and sacred trees. Before time had numbers, it had rhythm. And myth was our first attempt at listening. Myths are not guesses, they are mirrors. They reflect the soul of a people and the psyche of humanity itself. Across continents, across centuries, those mirrors show the same shapes. A primal void or chaos, a cosmic birth or violent divide, a sacrifice that births the world. A mountain, tree, or body as the axis of existence, man formed from earth, wood, or breath. The symbols differ, the essence echoes. This is the story of stories, a journey through the myths that birth meaning. And with each tale, we will ask one question. What does it say about us? Let us begin. The Norse creation myth. In the beginning there was nothing, only Ginnungagap, a vast, silent void. To the north lay Nibelheim, a realm of cold, fog, and poison. To the south blazed Muspelheim, land of heat and fire. From Nibelheim flowed icy rivers called Ilivagar. Where ice met fire in the void, the frost began to melt, and life stirred. From the melting rime rose the first being, Ymir, the primal giant. From the sweat beneath his left arm, a man and a woman grew, and from the strange mating of his legs, a son was born. He was the first of the Jitner, the frost giants. Beside him came a cow, and she nourished Ymir with streams of milk. The cow also found nourishment by licking a salt-covered stone that protruded from the ice. On the first day, hair emerged. On the second day, a head. And on the third day, a full man, Buri, appeared. Buri fathered Buro, who in turn had 3 sons, Odin, Vili, and Vi. The 3 brothers grew up in a world ruled by giants, wild, formless, and dangerous. But they longed to shape something new, a world of order. To do so, they had to slay the first being, the one who birthed the giants. They killed Ymir, and his blood gushed out in torrents, drowning most of the giants. The brothers created the world. His flesh became the land, his blood formed the seas. His bones became the mountains. His teeth and broken bones became rocks and gravel. His skull was set above the earth to form the sky. To keep the sky in place, they placed 4 dwarfs beneath it, one at each corner. They threw sparks from Muspelheim into the dome of the sky, and these became the stars. They took 2 children of the giants, Sol, a radiant girl, and Mani, her pale brother, and placed them in the sky. Sol drove the sun's chariot, and Mani the moon. Each is chased endlessly by wolves, fated to be devoured at the end of days. They built Midgard from Ymir's eyebrows, to protect it from the giants beyond. One day, walking along the shoreline, the gods found 2 pieces of driftwood. From them, they shaped the first humans, a man, Ask, and a woman, Embla. The 3 gods each gave a gift. Odin breathed life into them. Vili gave them mind and will. Vi gave them form, color, voice, and ears to hear. Above Midgard, the gods raised their own realm, Asgard, home of the Aesir. They connected the 2 worlds with a rainbow bridge, Bifrost. Binding the worlds together stood Yggdrasil, the great ash tree whose branches and roots wove through all of existence. It connected the realms of gods and giants, humans and the dead, light and shadow. It is a brutal beginning. Creation is not birth, it is sacrifice. Not gentle unfolding, but violent division. The Norse cosmos is forged in the aftermath of a corpse. It is built on death, and that death is necessary for order to arise. Philosophically, this tells us something primal. The Norse mind did not expect creation to be kind. The world is not a gift, it is a price paid. Man is a being made after the storm. We are not born in paradise, we are survivors of a cataclysm. Already we see themes that echo through mythologies everywhere. A primal chaos, a cosmic sacrifice. A human forged from natural elements, given spirit by divine force. Let's see how these themes emerge elsewhere. Sometimes dressed in new symbols, but pulsing with the same rhythm. Chaos and cosmos, the Greek beginning. In the beginning there was only chaos, a dark, formless void. Out of this primal emptiness emerged the first cosmic forces. Gaia, the earth. Tartarus, the deep underworld. Eros, the power of desire, as well as Nyx, the embodiment of night. And Erebus, the shadow of darkness. From Gaia, the earth itself, arose Uranus, the sky, and together they formed the first divine pair. Their union gave birth to the Titans, to the one-eyed Cyclopes, and to the Hecatonchires, the giants with 100 hands. But Uranus feared his children and forced them back into Gaia's womb, causing her great pain. Seeking revenge, Gaia gave a sickle to her son Cronus, who ambushed and castrated his father, overthrowing him. Cronus took power but repeated the cycle. Fearing a prophecy that he would be overthrown by his own child, he swallowed each newborn, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. But his wife Rhea saved the youngest, Zeus, hiding him away and tricking Cronus with a swaddled stone. Zeus grew up and returned to confront his father. With help from Metis, he forced Cronus to vomit up his siblings. Together, they fought and defeated the Titans and the great Titanomachy, casting them into Tartarus. The age of the Olympians had begun. There are multiple versions of how humanity came to be, but the most enduring centers on Prometheus, a titan who sided with humankind. In some myths, Prometheus shaped man from clay, and Athena breathed life into them. Zeus, however, withheld fire from mankind. Prometheus defied him, stealing fire from Olympus and gifting it to humanity, a symbol of knowledge, progress, and rebellion. Enraged, Zeus chained Prometheus to a rock where an eagle devoured his liver each day, only for it to regenerate each night. To punish humanity, Zeus created the first woman, Pandora. Each god gifted her with a trait, and she was given a sealed jar or box. When she opened it, all the evils of the world were released. Pain, sickness, death, only hope remained inside. Thus, in Greek myth, humankind is born from clay, tested by defiance, burdened by suffering, and carried by hope. Creation is not clean. It begins in chaos, repeats through betrayal, and continues in the struggle to rise. Man, once again, is not simply born. He is shaped, gifted, and cursed. We are the product of divine rebellion. Odin and Prometheus mirror each other. Both sacrifice themselves to reach forbidden knowledge, but in different ways. Prometheus defies Zeus, stealing fire from mankind. For this gift he is chained, his liver torn each day. He loses freedom so humanity can rise. Odin sacrifices not in rebellion but in pursuit of wisdom itself. He gives his eye to Mimir's well, hangs on Yggdrasil for 9 nights and wins the runes, cosmic secrets he shares with men. One challenges power, the other embodies it. Yet both reveal the same truth. Knowledge is never free. Creation and wisdom are paid for in pain. Egypt, the world from breath and silence. Before gods walked or stars burned, the Egyptians saw the beginning not as chaos, but as silence. A silence so deep it was heavy with promise. This was none, the primeval waters. Not an ocean with shores, but an endless swell of potential. Formless, boundless, undivided. From this infinite stillness arose Adam, the self-created one. He did not emerge through struggle. He willed himself into being. He became the first consciousness, the first I. In some tellings, Adam rises upon the Bemben stone from the waters. In others, he simply comes forth. And from himself alone, he begins the work of creation. He brings forth Shu, the air, and Tefnut, moisture. by his word, or by his breath. From them are born Geb, the earth, and Nut, the sky. And from their union, the divine lineage unfolds: Osiris, Isis, Seth, and Nephthys. Creation in the Egyptian mind is not born from violence, but from separation. Sky from earth, light from dark, breath from water, and yet this separation is not a wound. It is a sacred act of distinction. Adam speaks, he breathes, he names, and reality unfolds like a lotus at dawn. Philosophically, two principles are woven here. Creation is order, emerging from unity. The world begins in oneness, but it must divide to become meaningful. Without separation, there is no experience. And so, reality unfolds not through destruction, but through articulation. Naming is power. Word becomes flesh. Adam creates himself, and from himself, everything else. This vision aligns more with pantheism or panentheism than monotheism. God is not outside the world, but emerges with it, within it, through it. And humanity? In the Heliopolitan tradition, man is shaped by Khnum, the ram-headed god who molds human beings from clay on his potter's wheel. But in the Memphite theology, creation takes a different form. Ptah does not craft with hands. He creates with his heart and tongue. He thinks the world, then speaks it into being. Thought becomes speech, and speech becomes reality. Sound familiar? This theme, word as creation, will echo again when we reach Genesis. But here, in Egypt, it is older. Older than Moses, older than Torah. The Egyptians lived by the Logos long before the Greeks named it. The soul of Egyptian cosmogony is not conflict, but consciousness. Creation happens when awareness breathes, when silence becomes speech. Mesopotamia, creation through war. Now we turn to Mesopotamia, to the Babylonian myth of the Enuma Elish. Here the tone changes. There is no gentle unfolding, no lotus blossom. This is creation through conflict, betrayal, and blood. In the beginning there is Apsu, the sweet water, and Tiamat, the salt water. Their mingling births the first generation of gods. But soon these gods grow restless, loud, disturbing the silence. Apsu decides they must be destroyed. Tiamat resists at first, but when Apsu is slain by his own son, Ea, her fury ignites. She raises an army of monsters, dragons, serpents, and demons, and takes a new consort, Kingu. To him she gives the Tablet of Destinies, the symbol of divine authority, and together they wage war against the younger gods. The gods were terrified. They needed a champion. Marduk, son of Ea, steps forward. He agrees to fight Tiamat, but only if he is granted absolute kingship. The gods consent. Armed with net and bow, carrying storms in his hand, Marduk rides to battle. He traps Tiamat in his snare, drives the winds into her mouth, and splits her body in two. From one half he fashions the sky, from the other the earth. He crushes Kingu and uses his blood, mixed with clay, to create humankind. Humanity's task is clear: to bear the labor of the gods, to serve, to perform rituals that sustain order. This is no tender Genesis. The universe is born from slaughter. Creation is not a gift, but the spoils of war. The world itself is a corpse remade, and humanity? Not children of divinity, not beings in a divine image, but a byproduct of punishment. Their purpose is service, not fellowship. Compared to Egypt, the contrast is stark. Egypt, creation through speech, self-generation, order from unity, divine as mind, humanity as participant. Mesopotamia, creation through violence, war between generations, order from conquest, divine as warrior, humanity as servant. Both myths explain the world, but they reveal very different views of existence. In Egypt, the world is a sacred unfolding. In Babylon, the world is a contested throne, and both live on inside us. Some of us feel the world as something to tend, others feel it as something to overcome. Humanity in the Babylonian vision is a byproduct, fashioned from the blood of a defeated rebel. Their purpose is service, and note this: chaos is feminine. Tiamat is the original womb, saltwater, oceanic vastness, the ancient mother. Yet here she is recast as the villain. She is the dragon, the monster, the mother that must be slain. The psychological resonance is deep. Tiamat is the unconscious, the formless flood of inner life. Marduk is the heroic ego, rational, sharp, order-bringing. The myth becomes a drama of ego versus shadow, the battle to impose shape on one's inner world, even at the cost of killing the very source that birthed you. Compared to Egypt, the contrast is stark. Egypt offers creation through breath, through self-generation. Order from unity. The divine is mind. Humanity as participant in the sacred unfolding. Babylon offers creation through war, through generational conflict. Order from conquest. The divine as warrior. Humanity as servant. Both explain the world, but they reveal very different ways of experiencing existence. In Egypt, the cosmos is a sacred unfolding, something to tend. In Babylon, it is a battlefield, a contested throne, something to overcome. And these visions still live inside us. Some of us experience the world as something to nurture, others as something to fight. Hinduism, the self that becomes the universe. If Egypt gave us creation as breath, and Babylon gave us creation through war, Hinduism gives us something even more radical, creation as self-realization, not a god standing apart, not a battle, but the one becoming all. In the Rig Veda, one of the oldest surviving texts on Earth, creation begins not with violence or command, but with a great cosmic being, Purusha. He is not a man, not a person, but a totality, a cosmic soul. And the universe is born from his own sacrifice. From that sacrifice came the sacred verses, the chants and melodies. Horses were born of it, and all creatures. The moon from his mind, the sun from his eye, the sky from his head, the earth from his feet. This is not a god fighting darkness, it is the self offering itself, voluntarily transforming oneness into many. Here we see a different structure entirely. There is no enemy, no chaos monster, no throne to seize. There is only Brahman, the infinite formless reality. From Brahman arises Maya, the appearance of division, multiplicity, time, form. The world is not separate from the divine. It is the divine fragmented in appearance. So the one can experience itself in infinite ways. And so in Hindu cosmology, creation moves through three aspects. Brahma, the creator. Vishnu, the sustainer. Shiva, the destroyer and renewer. But these are not separate gods in the deepest sense. They are functions, masks of the same eternal presence. At the heart of this vision lies a statement so powerful it shakes the foundation of dualistic thought. Tat fam asi, that thou art. You are not apart from the source. You are the source, pretending to be separate. In another telling, the universe emerges from Ginnungagap, the golden womb or cosmic egg. It floats in the timeless waters until it cracks open, releasing gods, elements, the laws of nature, and finally human consciousness. But even here, the metaphor is not about destruction, it is about birth. Not a prison, but a gestation. In many ways, this mirrors the Egyptian Bemben stone rising from the waters. Yet where Egypt emphasizes order through articulation, Hinduism emphasizes awakening from illusion. China, the egg, the chaos, and the divider. In the beginning there was only Handan, a swirling, silent chaos. Neither good nor evil, neither full nor empty, just undivided potential. This formless unity, rooted in Taoist thought, had no opposites. No yin or yang, no light or dark, only stillness. But stillness cannot last. Eventually movement stirred, and with it came separation. From this shifting chaos, a cosmic egg emerged, suspended in the void. Inside, all the elements of existence swirled together. At its center, a being began to take shape, Pangu. He slept within the egg for 18,000 years while the forces of yin, heavy and dark, sank downward to form the earth. And yang, light and clear, rose upward to form the sky. When Pangu finally awoke, he found himself trapped. He took up a great axe and split the egg in two. In that instant, heaven and earth were born, but the separation was fragile. So Pangu stood between them, head pressing up the sky, feet holding down the earth. Each day he grew taller, keeping the two apart. After another 18,000 years, Pangu died. Yet his death was not an end, but a transformation. His breath became wind, his voice thunder, his eyes the sun and moon, his blood the oceans, his bones the mountains, his hair the plants. He did not rule creation, he became it. There's a Taoist parable that illuminates this mystery. Some gods sought to help Hunden by giving it human features, eyes to see, a mouth to eat, ears to hear. But when they did, Hunden died. For pure potential cannot be defined without being destroyed. When you rush to label what is unknown, you kill its mystery. When you force clarity too soon, you lose the depth of the undefined. Once the world had taken shape, Nuwa, a goddess with the body of a dragon and the face of a woman, wandered its beauty. She would one day shape humankind from clay, bringing order, music, and kinship to the world born from chaos. Nuwa, the goddess with the dragon's tail, wandered through the newborn world and marveled at its beauty. Yet she felt lonely. So she knelt by the yellow river and shaped the first humans from yellow clay, carefully molding each figure by hand. These became the refined noble ones, but the work was slow. To speed it up, she dipped a vine in mud and flung droplets into the air. Each drop became a human too, less detailed, yet countless. Some have read this tale as a metaphor for class, or as the tension between creation as art and creation as abundance. But harmony did not last. The sky cracked in the northwest. The earth split in the southeast. Floods and fires, monsters and chaos surged again. Nuwa did not raise an army, nor slay a beast. She repaired. She melted 5 colored stones to patch the heavens. She cut the legs from a giant turtle to prop up the sky. Through creativity and sacrifice, she calmed the disasters and restored balance. Nuwa became not only creator, but preserver of harmony. Unlike Genesis or Babylon, Chinese cosmology does not pit light against dark. Instead, it sets them in flow. Yin is not evil, yang is not good. They are both necessary. Night and day, winter and summer, birth and death, breath in, breath out. Harmony does not come from erasing one, but from embracing both. This is not the victory of order over chaos. It is the rhythm between them. What does Chinese creation teach us? That creation is not domination, but differentiation. The world begins not with a throne or a conquest, but with separation marked by respect. Sky and earth are held apart, not conquered. In the West, chaos is feared. In China, chaos is honored as womb, not waste. Hunden reminds us that some things must remain undefined to stay alive. Pangu shows us that to create is to become. He does not stand apart from the world. He becomes the world. Creation is an act of self-sacrifice, not for control, but for continuity. And so, in contrast to Genesis' hierarchy and Babylon's war, Chinese cosmology whispers, the world was not forced into being. It unfolded, like breath, like mist, like an egg warming from within. We are not here to conquer the opposites. We are here to breathe between them. Genesis, word, order, and fall. In the biblical creation story, there was no war, no God with a sword, and no blood. Only a voice. Let there be light. And light was. The creation story in Genesis does not begin with chaos destroyed, but with chaos organized. There is formless void. There is deep water. There is darkness. And then, there is the word, not a hammer, not a weapon, but speech, logos, the divine reason, the ordering principle. Creation by distinction. Light from darkness, day from night, sea from sky, land from ocean, seed-bearing plants, living creatures, man and woman. In Genesis, creation unfolds not through struggle but through structure. God speaks and the world takes form. On the sixth day, after the stars are hung and the seas are filled, God says, "Let us make man in our image." Humanity enters not as an accident, not as a byproduct, but as reflection. This God is not impersonal. He breathes into dust the breath of life, dust and spirit, clay and fire, bound to earth, yet reaching for the divine. And humanity is placed not on a battlefield, but in a garden. In Eden, there is no shame, no death, no distance. Man walks with God in the cool of the day, naked, unafraid, named but not yet divided from his source. Only one limit is set: do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Not because knowledge is evil, but because timing matters. To know too soon is to fall without depth, the fall from innocence into awareness. But they eat, not out of hunger, but out of desire to be as gods. Their eyes are opened. They see themselves. They feel shame. They cover. They hide. God does not kill them. He calls them. He questions, "Where are you?" Perhaps the most important line in the whole story. For from that moment, exile begins. Not only from a place, but from a state of being. The fall is not merely a moral lapse. It is the birth of consciousness. Before, man was one with nature, unbroken. After, man is separate, aware, afraid, responsible. This is the paradox of Genesis. The same awareness that makes us divine is what divides us from divinity. Creation through word, not war, a world spoken, not slain. Genesis begins not with war, but with a word. The world is spoken into being. Let there be light, and there was. Power does not come from conquest, but from language. To speak is to shape. To name is to define. Creation unfolds through separation. Light from darkness, day from night, sky from sea, man from woman. Division is not destruction. It is the act of making meaning. Humanity is made in the image of God, mirrors of the divine. But the mirror cracks when man and woman reach beyond their limit. The fruit is eaten, eyes are opened, shame arrives, and exile begins. Yet exile here is not only the loss of a garden. It is the birth of self-awareness. God does not strike them down, but asks, "Where are you?" From that moment, humanity carries knowledge as both gift and burden. The lesson is that freedom is costly. To know good and evil is to choose, and choice is the beginning of responsibility. Eden is innocence. Exile is growth. Other cultures also speak of separation. In Egypt, the primeval god Adam rises from the waters of Nun and brings forth Shu and Tefnut, sky and moisture, earth and heaven. Creation there is also division, but not by command. It is an unfolding, almost organic, a birth from silence into form. Genesis differs in one crucial way. Order is not born, it is spoken. The word itself is the blade that divides. Each story is unique, but together they share a single shape. Every creation begins with what is unformed, a void, a silence, or a chaos. From that order is drawn. But order always comes at a cost. To create is to divide, to live is to sacrifice, and to speak is to shape. Mesopotamia shows us order as conquest. Greece shows us order as rebellion. Norse myth shows us order as collision. Hinduism shows us order as sacred offering. Egypt shows us order as breath and word. China shows us order as the sacrifice of the self. And Genesis shows us order as speech that divides, and then calls humanity into moral growth. These myths are not only about how the world began. They are mirrors. You have stood in Ginnungagap when life broke apart and nothing new had yet formed. You have lived Purusha when you were torn apart for a future you could not see. You have reached for Genesis when you named your pain to bring light into the dark. You have lived like Pangu when you gave parts of yourself to hold your world together. The myths remind us that creation is never finished. It repeats within us. It repeats every time you speak the truth, every time you let go, every time you build order out of chaos. So the question returns to you, what will you create? If you feel called, share your answer in the comments below. And if you want to go deeper into these myths, follow Totum Vox, where we keep asking the questions that never end.